Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Here we go. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. Oh, I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. What this life is about. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Here we go. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. It's about love and it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love and it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love and it's about service, it's about lending a hand. Lending a hand. Woo! Here we go. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors and let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Welcome to Unity, a positive path for spiritual living. It's spring, and change is in the air, isn't it? And some of it is quite unexpected and also kind of surprising. What did you think of the snow last Sunday? Well, it was an extraordinary experience and quite beautiful. And then the next day, to be sitting outside in the sun, basking in the warmth. Kind of like life. It would be foolish for us to think that life would stay the same, that each year would be the same, or each month, or each week, or maybe even each day. That change is an inherent part of growth of life. It's a good sign when things change. And we can meet these changes, in a number of ways. Last week I spoke about resistance, which can be one of our approaches to change. Another approach is we can meet change with equanimity, with poise, with our hearts and our minds open. When we stay grounded in our principles, with the truth that nothing is against us, that everything we encounter can be a blessing if we look for it, these are some of the ways that we ride the waves of change and stay fully engaged in life, not hiding from it and not fearing it. I think one of the things that 2020 taught us was resilience. To be aware of the ripples or the waves coming our direction and be ready to rise above them. The name of Pat's talk this week is Face Everything and Rise. Face everything and rise. But before we hear her, would you join me in a time of centering prayer? We begin with deep breathing, strong and intentional. We begin with the knowledge of the nature of God. God is infinite peace, infinite wisdom, infinite love, infinite life. All that God is, we can realize as the truth within us. So we begin in the celebration of the whole holy power within, our true nature. I am peace. I breathe in peace. I breathe out peace. Nothing can disturb my peace of mind or my harmonious heart, for I am anchored in divine peace. With every step forward, I am faith-filled. I place one foot in front of the other, confident and expectant. I am faith-filled. We breathe from our heart center of divine love, directing breath throughout our bodies and out beyond our bodies to broadcast divine love everywhere. We stir up the vibration of divine love. Let's hold that thought as we join together in our next song.
Just as Master Jesus I would like to welcome Unity Comox Valley to our Sunday talk. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. This is the 5th Sunday of Lent, and we continue our journey of release and renew. And the release and renew statements I have chosen are, I release my darkest fears, and I renew the strength and courage of my heart. I release my darkest fears, and I renew the strength and courage of my heart. I'm going to start with the release statement first. Do you know what your darkest fear is? Sometimes I think it's so fearful we don't look at it. I think my greatest fear changed as I grew older. I was in my early 30s when I finally decided I needed to address the fact that I was a child of an alcoholic. My mom had been sober, going to AA for 11 years, and I still would not say I was the child of an alcoholic. And I have very few memories of my childhood. Very, very few. In fact, my sisters would be sitting around, we'd be sitting around, and they'd be talking about something that happened when we were growing up, and they'd say, what did you think about that? And I'd just say to them, I don't remember. And they can't believe that I don't remember. And I remember the counselor saying to me, what were you so afraid of that you don't remember your childhood? And at that moment, I knew what it was. I was afraid it was true that I was unlovable. You see, that's the message I adopted very young, that my mom didn't love me. So I believed at that point in my life that being unlovable was the worst thing that could happen to me. And I was to discover it was not. In my early 20s, I had been informed that 1 out of 10 children I bore would have a chronic illness or condition. So I made the decision I wasn't going to have kids. I could be an absolutely great auntie. I was sure of that. And there's other kids out there that need someone in their life. So there was lots of kids I could be there for. And then my sister had Shane, and he was the first grandchild, and he was the first nephew, and he was a cherished little boy. And I want to share a picture of Shane and I with you, and so let me see if I can do this. Yeah. So that's Shane and I. Shane was 16 years old. And I remember that picture because I can remember leaning back against his shoulder and going, oh, this young man's going to be around to support me when I am old. He's going to be around and support me. 7 years later, on the morning Shane would die, he so wanted to sit up and be sitting up with everybody that was there because the room was full of people that loved him. So I scrambled on the bed and I got behind him and I put my legs on either side of him and I said, rest back, Shane. And I remember his whole body collapsed on me. And I just held him so he could be part of the discussion. And it was in those moments that this dream that this young man was going to be there to support me when I got old was destroyed. It was shattered. And it was then I realized what my worst fear was. To lose someone I love. To lose someone I loved. You see, life just happening had taught me and shown me what my darkest fear was. I still get fearful, and I know now that my fear comes from being disconnected from my spiritual faith, my spiritual nature. And I become disconnected when I am sure there's a certain outcome needs to occur. And I become fearful that maybe it's not going to happen the way I want it to. When I am really tired, I'm fearful. The fear can creep in on me. And when I get sick, even with the flu, fear seems to creep in about anything. And what happens when I get sick is I now know that the first thing that's going to go is my spiritual connection. I don't know why, but it does for me. So At times when I experience human fear, I say the following words over and over. Just for today, I will be unafraid. Just for today, I will be unafraid. Because I know we only have today. We only have this moment. So those are words of comfort to me. Now let us look at the renew statement. I renew the strength and courage of my heart. And I want to start with some comments about heart. From the Holy Bible, Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, it says, As he thinketh in his heart, so he is. As he thinketh in his heart, as he is. And I've always thought as you think in your mind, but as you think in your heart, this heart-centered space. Myrtle Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, reminds us, God is love, and his love casts out of the mind and heart all fear. God is love, and his love casts out of the mind and heart all fears. From the Revealing Word, I looked up what is the metaphysical interpretation. And heart is love, the affectional consciousness in man. The heart is love. Everyone uses their heart center when they send forth a loving thought. And we talk about God is only love. Jesus' commandments to us. To love God and to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And so when we look at renew the strength and courage of my heart, renew the strength and courage of my love to see everyone through the eyes of divine love, to see everyone as one with me. So, yes, through the heart. And remember, the phrase renew is not to create something new, but to resume an action that has been interrupted. That means we have whatever we are resuming. So we are renewing what we already have. And we remember that we all have divine powers, faculties, attributes within us. They're part of our divine DNA. And they're there for us, whether we're aware of them or not. And one of these powers is divine strength. So I went to the book, The Divine Audacity, which is Linda Martel-Whitsett's book on the 12 powers. And I want to read her definition of spiritual strength, because that's what we're renewing, going back to. Spiritual strength is our capacity to stand undaunted in the midst of shifting circumstances, to act courageously, and to stay the course. And when I read the statement, I thought, we have all displayed courage this past year. In some shape or some form, each one of us has displayed courage. Dorothy Bernard reminds us, courage is fear that has said its prayers. Courage is fear that said its prayers. The other day I read, fear stands for face everything and rise. Face everything and rise. And I thought about that, and I thought, isn't that what crucifixion and resurrection means? That was a startling thought for me, just so you know. So in the Revealing Word, the metaphysical interpretation of crucifixion is the crossing out in consciousness of errors, meaning thought errors that have become fixed states of mind. It's like this thinking has become stuck in our mind, the way we think. Think about this past year. With COVID, I've experienced fears of uncertainty, of the unknown, of the what ifs. What kind of fear did you experience? And did you stay in that fear? I don't think any of you did. I don't think any of you did. You chose to release, to cross out that thinking of fear and say, that's not where I choose to be at this moment. I give it no power. What is happening and what we see out there, I give it no power. Remember, fear standing for face everything and rise. In releasing my fear, I had to face the fact I was experiencing fear. Because sometimes it was just, well, what else should I be feeling with all that's going on? So I had to acknowledge that I was having fear and make the decision to do something about it. Because once we make a conscious decision, we can now choose. I've come to think I crossed out my fears through resurrection. Okay, this was all new thinking for me. The revealing word, in the revealing word, the metaphysical interpretation of resurrection is the restoring of mind and body to their original undying state. Restoring of mind and body to our divine nature. The word resurrection also suggests that there has been a falling short of the divine standard, therefore the necessity of being restored and revived. And I did fall short of the divine standard when I was full of fear. Because remember, the heart, it's full of love. Yeah, I remember somebody saying to me, fear knocked on the door and faith answered and no one was there. I'd also say fear knocked on the door and love answered and no one was there. So, restored and revived from our human nature to our divine nature. In my last talk, I talked about my friend who always says to me, we need to remember who we are. We need to remember. I need to remember who I truly am. Need to remember I'm one with all. I remember that through my divine DNA, I have all these powers to draw upon to live my life. I need to remember I am loved and I am loving. Face everything and rise. In resurrecting, I rise out of my human nature and move back into my divine nature, my spiritual nature. This is where the surprise came in for me with these words of crucifixion and resurrection. I had not realized till I was writing this that these two words are really big words for me. They represent the religion I walked away from. The mainstream religion I walked away from. In my 20s, I had come to believe that God was good and that there was no heaven and hell. If there was a heaven and hell, it was right here on earth, and I created my own heaven and hell. So is it any wonder when I walked into that first Unity service, I went, I've come home. Like there's people that think like me. In the last part of the first book of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it talks about join us on this broad highway of fellowship. And that is the thought. I remember having that thought at my first service. Look how many people are on this broad highway of spiritual fellowship that think like I think. So yes. So to be totally honest, this is the first year I really get Unity's teachings on crucifixion and resurrection because they were so big for me. I think I kind of tuned it out and just skated by those words for the first few years. And the way I got to realize it for me was to realize as I was preparing this that I do crucifixion and resurrection all the time. It's part of my spiritual life. Only I call it release and renew, or letting go and now remembering. They're the same thing. I release my darkest fear and I renew the strength and courage of my heart. Yes. So I want to end my talk today by reading from my favorite book, Who Have You Come Here to Be? 101 Possibilities for Contemplation. And this is what I'd like to close with. I have come here to be courageous. Being courageous does not mean you have no fear. It means you feel the fear, but don't allow it to stop you. Courage is a capacity to act from the heart, even in circumstances that seem impossible. Break through the obstacles that hold you back with the courage that comes from knowing God lives and moves through you. And the affirmation is, insecurity and doubt are powerless to stop me. I am courageous. I break through obstacles by accessing the power of God, living, moving, and acting through me. Courage is fear that has said its prayers. Dorothy Bernard. And so it is. We're going to now sing in the silence, and then we'll move into the meditation. Namaste.
In the silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home. In the silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home. In the silence I can feel the love. In the silence I can rise above. In the silence I can hear the voice. In the silence I am home.
Sitting comfortably, and if you choose, you can close your eyes. Focus on your breath. Follow the gentle inhale and exhale of your breath. Watch as your body settles into the present moment. Think of your breath as a messenger, letting you know how you're feeling in this moment, physically and emotionally. Allow whatever you find to simply be there, along with you. Think of a loving presence. It could be a beloved family member or a friend, one who is living or one who has transitioned over. It could be a spiritual figure. For many people, it's a pet. Bring to mind anyone who brings you a feeling of peace, of love, and of safety. Of being cared for. Of being accepted exactly as you are at this moment. If no one comes to mind, you can also imagine what you would want to experience from a guide, mentor, or loved one who loves you unconditionally. How would you feel in their presence? What would it be like to be wholly accepted and embraced for the person you are right now? To feel worthy, seen, and cared for. once you feel even a tiny bit of this feeling, notice what it feels like. Is it warm? Is there a sense of light? Of energy? Does a color or texture arise? Whatever comes up for you, allow it to be there. What words would you want this being to say to you if they could speak? Would the words be, I love you no matter what? You are worthy. You're doing your best. You are enough. I am always loving you. What words would you want this being to say to you? Now, place a hand on your heart and feel that sense of love and acceptance seeping into your body. The way heat from a water bottle or the sunlight would flood you. Also imagine this being putting one or both arms around you, embracing you, stroking your cheek. Sometimes it can be powerful to wrap your arms around yourself in a hug. Do that if you wish. Imagining this love surrounding you, loving every single aspect of you, including the ones you can't accept. Keep hugging yourself, floating in this presence of unconditional love and acceptance that exists for you no matter what. As we gently move out of the meditation, remember that this love is always accessible to us. There is always love there for us. Sometimes we just forget to look. We close this meditation with the following words. I am lovable. I am loving. I am loved. I am love. And so it is.
I so appreciate Pat's insights and perspectives. She has such an authentic way of sharing right from her heart and from her life experience. It's very powerful, very enriching for me, and I hope for you as well. If you'd like to talk more about some of these ideas that Pat has expressed, or anything in our anything about our spiritual community or unity principles, please tune in at 11:30 on Sunday mornings for our fellowship time. We have time there to connect with each other, to see each other, to hear each other, and to just share what's on our minds and hearts. It's a beautiful time together. The link for that Zoom call is in the newsletter. You'll find it there. It's the one link that we use for everything at Unity Comox Valley. Next week is a really special Sunday. It's Palm Sunday. Pat and I are doing the service together. We've co-created it, so it'll be a little bit different from our usual services. We'll both be speaking. And it's the last one in this Lenten series, and the last one of these pre-recorded services. The following Sunday is Easter, and the first all-island celebration service. So we'll be joining together with Unity Victoria, Unity Nanaimo, and ourselves at Unity Comox Valley for one big, wonderful service together. Instead of going to the Unity Comox Valley website, you'll go to Unity Nanaimo website and click on the link, and it's live. So you'll hear live music. I'll be there. I'm driving down to Nanaimo to participate in that service. Actually, I'll be doing the talk for Easter Sunday. We'll be joining together as an island spiritual community. I invite you to take a moment and reflect. How have you shared your gifts this last week? Your time, your thoughts, a smile, a helping hand. And now reflect on how you have received this week. What has blessed you? It's important to pause and take time and reflect on these things. We are participating in our world in many levels, locally, universally, right? And when we remember what our blessings have been, the way that we have contributed to the well-being and to the benefit of others, it lifts not only our energy, but also just how we show up in the world, how we speak, the actions that we take, who we connect with, what we bring to the table, so to speak. So I invite you to stop every day, at least once a day, and just reflect on that. Not only what you've received, but what you've given, because you are all contributing to what is happening in our world right now. I'd like to share with you a blessing from the Irish poet John O'Donoghue. Now is the time to free the heart. Let all intentions and worries stop. Free the joy inside the self. Awaken to the wonder of your life. Open your eyes and see the friends whose hearts recognize your face. Those whose kindness, watchful and near, encourages you to live everything here. See the gifts the years have given, things your efforts could never earn, the health to enjoy who you want to be, and the mind to mirror the mystery. Have a wonderful week. And now for our closing song.